Welcome to Realtors Unfiltered, where we pull back the curtain on the world of real estate. No fluff, no filters, just real stories, real advice, and the realities of buying, selling, and everything in between. This is your host, Inas Latif. Whether you're a client looking for your dream home or an agent seeking inspiration and insight, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. Hello, and thank you for tuning in. I'm Inas Latif with Hunt Real Estate. Welcome to Realtors Unfiltered. This morning, I have Beth Galmarini with me, and thank you, Beth, for joining us. Beth, can you tell the listeners how the podcast idea got started?
The podcast idea got started over a cup of coffee that the two of us were having. Well, you had your own, I had mine. We had gone to a location to meet a potential client, and we were stood up. So we found ourselves with a little free time on our hands. We had blocked out an hour of our day so we could meet with this client who never showed up, never called us, just was not there. So we just started talking about the joys of real estate.
You're right. And from the joys of real estate that we were talking about, we're like, this is really funny stuff. And you know what? People really have no idea about what it is like to be a real estate agent. And they think it's this glamorous HGTV life, which it's not. So we're here today to talk about really what real estate life is on a daily basis and all the things that we see, happy, sad, challenging. So why don't you share some of those stories with us? What's that story that really stood out to you in the past few years through your experience as a realtor?
That would show the unexpected parts of real estate?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I always prompt by saying the real estate I deal with on a daily basis is not like some of the television shows like you mentioned. I do not wear stilettos when I'm showing houses. I am accident prone. That may be why I don't wear stilettos.
I think I would fall too, though.
And I have fallen down flights of stairs before in front of clients, and it's a little embarrassing and a little awkward, but you can always spin it and make it a reason to point out why railings on stairways are very important so that you don't fall down the stairway.
That's a good one. Very clever.
You always got to spin it for that real estate thing. I think there's many things that stand out. I've been doing this coming up on 20 years, which is quite a long time. Watch the industry change. The industry's changed, but the basic parts of it haven't. People are still people. And that's the biggest part of real estate is you're dealing with people. Different personalities, different wants, different needs, different expectations. So my favorite part is, though, being with the clients, showing them houses, seeing the reactions, seeing if they like houses or don't like houses. I've learned over the years that I've walked in houses before thinking the client's not going to like it, and that's the house that the clients bought because they unexpectedly loved it, and I've learned not to say anything. So I would say dealing with the people and all the different experiences when you show a house and meet with your clients, and whether you're a marriage counselor, which sometimes that's happened. I mean, I've stood in houses where knockdown, drag-out fights have broken out. The one I clearly remember was they were arguing over a house. He loved it. She hated it. We were in the kitchen, and they were standing by a counter with a butcher block full of knives on it. You know, those butcher block knife holders?
That sounds scary.
Yeah. And I was across the kitchen from them, and they were having a knockdown, drag-out screaming match.
And someone else's home.
In someone else's home. She didn't like the house. He loved it, and they had looked at multiple homes. And all I kept focusing on was the knives. I was like, is one of them going to grab a knife? How do we leave this house in one piece without being slashed up? But somehow they worked through it, and we went on our way, and they actually bought that house. That was the house they purchased.
Well, should I dare to ask how the process was after that day?
It was fine. They were the type of couple that they would have a big blow up, lots of screaming and yelling, and then everything was fine. I was still traumatized probably for a week after that, but they were fine.
He should have known better. Happy wife, happy life, right?
Yeah, he won. He was the one that loved the house, and she didn't.
Yeah.
So,
well, did she end up loving it?
She does. They're still there. Talk to them frequently, and they do love the house. They do love the neighborhood, and they're very happy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What other stories can you share with us? Maybe about something maybe you didn't expect getting into this business that you discovered in your first year?
Something I didn't expect. Probably the biggest thing that jumps out to me is what I've learned is what I think going into it, I had an expectation, which we all do, of your home and what a home should be like. And I've learned over the years, every home is different, and everyone's thought process about their home, how they maintain it or what they have in it or don't have in it, is different as well. And that's always a challenge, too, is especially when you have a buyer and you close on a house. You know, our contracts say they're to be broom clean. I've had buyers that we go to the final walkthrough and the seller has hired a cleaning company and it's beautiful, it's pristine, and they've left a bottle of wine on the counter and a note welcoming the new buyer. I've walked in other homes for the final walkthrough and it's a disaster. And so everybody's concept of what is clean, broom clean, is very, very different. And I've learned that over the years too. It's just, I don't know if I've described that correctly or not, but
Yeah.
you know, what works for some people will never work for other people, and it's not my place to judge one way or the other.
Yeah, very true. Everybody's standards are different. But can you tell me the difference between a buyer who walks into a home at final walkthrough and it is pristine versus one that it's not? How does the buyer, in your opinion, working with multiple buyers over the years, thousands probably of buyers over the years, how does that make them feel about the process or about the home?
It does depend on the buyer too. You know, the buyer will have their own needs and wants. A lot of times if we've been in a home and when we looked at it, it was a disaster, and I'm not saying that in a judgy way, but, you know, maybe when we were looking at the home and if you stood still, you stuck to the floor because I don't know if they cleaned the house with apple juice. I don't know what was going on, but you stuck to the floor.
Yeah.
So I do kind of prepare my buyers for the final walkthrough, and we have that conversation. Okay, let's think back to what the house looked like when you saw it, the condition of it. Let's focus on our priorities, our goals here. You've been looking for a home, and we all know in this market it's been so hard for a buyer to get a home, and it can take a buyer a while. It's a dogfight out there at times. And so it's part of my job is to set the table, to prepare them when they walk in. And, you know, every once in a while there will be a hiccup, but we work through it. That's part of my job. Whether I need to do some cleaning or I have to get somebody in there to do some cleaning or I have to get on the phone and get the agent, and vice versa. I've had that as a listing agent too. I've gotten the call after final walkthrough and my clients have moved out of state and left stuff behind. And I'm over at the house at 9 o'clock at night, the night before closing, dragging stuff to the curb, cleaning, whatever you have to do. So
Yeah, because we definitely want the buyers to have a good experience and feel good about their home.
Because it's their home. They're excited.
Yes.
And like I said, but a lot of times they're just so excited to finally have a home. They just are happy no matter what.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit too? You just said about this market and how difficult it is for buyers to get a home. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for us today?
Well, it's just part of, we've been stuck in this seller's market for, I'm not good with years and dates. It's been a long time. I've stopped saying, you know, it'll change because eventually it will. Everything does. I just don't know when. And I don't have a crystal ball to tell you when.
Yeah.
But the buyers are out there fighting for few houses. We do not have a lot of inventory. And as a result of that, the sellers are in control. And the buyers are doing whatever they can creatively with their offers or maybe changing their expectations and doing the best they can to get a house. So when they get one, it's so wonderful when the buyers get a house. So wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you just mentioned seller's market. Let's elaborate a little bit on the difference between seller's market and buyer's market.
Oh, boy, you're putting me on the spot. Like I have to sound knowledgeable.
Sorry, you brought it up.
My interpretation of a seller's market.
You brought it on to yourself in this one.
I did. My mouth. To me, a seller's market, which I believe everyone believes is, when there is a limited inventory and a large pool of buyers, the sellers are in control. The sellers are steering the ship and, or as I say, driving the crazy train. And the buyers are running behind trying to hop on the train, doing their best to hop on the train.
Right.
And so they'll do whatever they can. And we've seen creative offers being placed, taking houses without, home inspections or doing a final walkthrough and it's a disaster and they say, that's okay, I got the house, I don't care. So the sellers are in charge right now due to limited inventory.
Makes sense. But sometimes when we show houses, there are some things that we're not expecting when we walk through that front door. Can you share some of those maybe unexpected or unwanted things that we see?
You do want me to share some of my stories.
Yes, please.
It's funny when I've mentored all these years for new agents and on the team.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like they roll their eyes. They're like, oh, she's got a story. I do have a lot of stories.
Well, 20 years, how many days is that? How many showings? How many sales, right?
Yeah.
So you definitely have a lot of stories.
It's a lot. And I'm sure
we want to hear them.
And my stories are no different than anybody else that's been in the business for a bit. So unexpected events on a showing. Okay, some of my favorites are, you were with me on this one. We went to a listing appointment. And we were in the house, going through the house, talking to the owner about the house. And, I was taking notes. You were asking questions and part of the process of deciding how to price the house. And they had a garage, but the garage was separate from the house, behind the house on an alley. So as we were talking, I said, so we need to see the garage as well. And she said, okay. And we went outside and we went around to the alley and faced the garage. And it was a large 2-car garage, no door. And I turned to her and I said, where's your garage door? And she goes, oh, someone stole it. And I believe that was the second garage door that they had stolen. Which just
And the funny part is she really had no idea that the garage door was gone until we all walked to the back. And that was the first time she also discovered that her garage door was stolen.
Yeah. And then I had to come up with creative, verbiage to write in the write-up about it, right? Open and airy concept for your garage.
I'm still confused, though. How did someone carry that garage door down the street?
They broke it down in pieces, but not once, but twice. That was her second garage door, so.
Yeah. Experts.
I've had all kinds of experiences. Things I can laugh about now, funny experiences with my clients. The ones that always come up are the rodents. I mean, it's just a fact of life. There's, at times, rodents. I remember one time I showed a house. It was a ranch house. So ranches, and it had an unfinished basement. So when you go in a ranch, it has this huge basement, unfinished. So the clients loved the house. It was vacant, and it had been vacant for a few months, and it was in the fall. And it was dusk when we were doing this. So we go down in the basement, and I'm flicking on the lights. So I'm standing in the basement looking around. The wife is over looking at the washer and dryer and talking about, she could do the stairs to go down and do the laundry, whatever. Husband was looking at how big the basement was and the potential for it. And I'm standing looking around at the sill plate, I always stand and look at that, especially in an unfinished basement if I can see it. I look at the walls, the foundation, whatever. I'm looking at the sill plate, and I see something move. And then I stop and I look at it, and I see a mouse, a small little field mouse, little guy on the sill plate. I was like, okay, there's a mouse. And then something catches my eye a little bit further over from it, and I see another mouse. And then I start panning around the basement, and I see, I don't know, there must have been 50 mice running on the sill plate. And it was fall, so it was cold, so the mice were coming in. The house was vacant. They had gotten in. They were small field mice. She's still talking about the washer and dryer. I look at the husband. He had looked up and started seeing the mice as well. He looked at me. We made eye contact, like, we need to get out of this basement now. And we got her upstairs, and she was a little flustered that we were making her leave. We went upstairs. We finished the showing, went outside, locked the door, and standing in the driveway. Then he told her about the large quantity of mice in the basement.
Oh, my.
I think she woke up the whole neighborhood. She just started screaming. She was like, I can't believe I saw it.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I got to use my famous line, so let's head back to the office and write up an offer.
How did you keep your composure when you saw all these mice? I think I would probably lose it.
Well, the good news was they were up high. They were, then they were just little mice. I do better with mice than rats. Rats, I admit, I have had moments with rats that have not been pretty. I had one client, I still remember the two of us, we were looking at a house that was also vacant. We went in the basement. We couldn't find the lights anywhere, so we had our cell phones out. So he and I are walking through the basement, and it was empty, but it had rooms in it, like sectioned off rooms. So we're walking with our cell phone, which doesn't give you much light. We're going to the basement. We're trying to find the electric panel. We're like, it has to be here somewhere. We have to find it. We go in this back room, and we find the electric panel finally, and we're standing next to each other. And he says to me, oh, what's this? And he flicks a switch, which turns on the lights. Now, we'd been in this room looking at the electric panel for a couple minutes. He turns on the lights and then looks down, and there was at least 6 dead rats laying on the ground.
Oh, my
We had walked in, and I don't know how we missed them in the dark, but we didn't step on them. We walked
Thankfully.
somehow, but they were all around us. And all I remember that day was we grabbed each other at the same time. He and I are in this basement. We grabbed each other, started screaming, which I don't know what I would do. And it was like a cartoon. I remember the cartoons where somebody opens their mouth really wide and screams, and there's that thing in the back that dangles. Right. I swear I saw that. He was screaming so loud, his mouth was a little bit so wide. And then it was a free-for-all to see who could get out of the basement first.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I don't blame you. I think I would be screaming and crying maybe a little bit at the same time.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
Yeah.
And, of course, I said, should we head back and write up an offer?
Oh, my goodness. Well, did they write an offer?
No, not on that one.
Oh, okay. How about the 50 Mice house?
No, not on that one either. And I think of that house. I drive by it frequently, and it always makes me smile.
Yeah. So what do you do in this situation? Do you call someone to let them know about it, or?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely called the agent for the one with the mice, because they probably came in because it was the fall and they wanted to be warm. Called the agent to let them know you need to get somebody in there to take care of that. It's pretty major. The one with the rats, I did call the agent, but I don't think it was really a surprise. It was an investment type property, so
yeah,
the owner wasn't really that attached to the home.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because it is a hazard and it shouldn't be shown in that condition, of course.
Right.
Yeah, if they know about it. Yeah. Often people will have pets, animals in the home, and when we're showing houses, there may be a dog, there may be a cat. How do we deal with that on a daily basis, especially when you're out with buyers?
It can be challenging. And it's funny because a lot of times I've been told, the dog's really nice. The dog won't hurt you. I love animals. Full disclosure, love animals. Rats, I'm a little iffy on. I tolerate them in a cage far away from me. But I've been told, the dog's great. I've been bit by dogs before on showings, usually the small one that launched itself at the back of my leg and was locked on. And as the owner was saying, really friendly dog. Okay. Take it off my leg.
Sounds like one of mine.
I'm a cat fan, which, I know not everybody is. I had one showing where I was leaving and the cat bolted out the door, just took off out the door.
Oh, no.
Because my clients were trying to get out the door, I was trying to get out the door, and the cat got out the door.
Oh, no.
So I called the agent didn't answer. I spent an hour, because it was wintertime, trying to find this cat. I was so upset. I thought, somebody's pet got out. I can't leave. That's irresponsible. My clients had somewhere else to be, so they got in the car and left. I'm out there in the snow trying to find this cat. Can't find this cat. And a neighbor pulls in the driveway next door and asks me what I'm doing because I'm basically all over the place. And I said, well, I was leaving. The cat ran out the door. I can't get a hold of anybody. I don't want to leave this cat outside. She looked at me. She described the cat to me. And I said, yeah, that's the cat. She goes, oh, that cat goes in and out all the time.
Joke is on you.
I know. And I'm sure that cat was sitting somewhere watching me laughing at me.
She probably was back inside the house.
Exactly. She probably had her own door that I never saw.
Absolutely.
And on the flip side, I had one this summer where the directions were do not let the cats out. Like, that was part of the showing instructions. So I told my clients as we were walking up, do not let the cats out. No matter what they tell you, they can't come out. They knew that. We walk up, and it was this big old Victorian down in the city. It was a beautiful house, big porch, big front porch. And there's a cat laying literally in front of the front door, all stretched out, this orange cat, all happy to see us, purring, like so happy, gets up. So my clients are like, oh, should we let the cat in? And I'm standing there, and I'm like, well, I was told not to let the cats out. Nobody said anything about letting a cat in. So we stood there, and this cat was working us over like it was his house. Like, oh, he lived there. Finally, I was like, nope, we're not going to let this cat in because I don't know the situation here. So it was quite a feat to get the three of us in the front door without the cat going in with us. Like, real covert operation, distracting the cat, whatever. We got in. We meet the cats on the inside. They're all happy to see us. We leave. The cat's still out there. The cat follows me to my car, walks down the sidewalk next to me. I see a neighbor. I'm like, does this cat live in that house right there? He's like, no, that's like a neighborhood stray. What if I had let that cat in? Can you imagine the chaos that would have broken out in that house with the cats that couldn't go out?
Right. Good thing you didn't.
I know. That was whew.
Cats are sneaky.
Smart, not sneaky.
That's smart and sneaky, maybe. Yeah. But you do love cats, and that was wonderful that you knew how to deal with that situation in that case. Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, Beth, we enter people's homes. We enter their private space. We enter their bedrooms, their bathrooms. It just gets really, really private sometimes. And, we have to have a certain level of respect for their space, their privacy, their stuff. And we coach our clients who are with us, our buyers entering these homes, other people's homes, to do the same as well. But once in a while, we run into situations that are very interesting, especially in the bedroom.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so I heard that there was a special fine art in one of the bedrooms of a house that you showed once. Tell us more about that story.
Oh, that was funny. I had a couple, and their 2 young children were with us as well, a boy and a girl. And we were looking at homes. We had seen a bunch of houses that day. And it was one of the last houses we were going into. It was a big house. And we were looking in the bedrooms. We were going through the second floor looking in the bedrooms. So I was with the wife and the kids. We were all together, which you're supposed to all stay together, which sometimes is challenging. So the husband wandered out of the bedroom because they were looking at this bedroom, and right across the hall was the primary suite. So with the double doors, big wide. So he saw that and started walking towards it. So I was actually in the hallway.
Sounds like it was very inviting doorway.
Yes, yeah, like you almost could hear the, oh, and he just kind of went in a trance in there.
Right.
So he walked in, and I could see him from where I was standing in the doorway to the bedroom. The wife and the kids were in the bedroom. He was in there for a couple minutes, and he was just kind of standing there, which I did kind of think was odd, but he was just standing there. So I come following in behind him with the wife and the kids, and we all walk in, and he's just standing staring at the wall. So we all turn and look at the wall, and there was this massive, when I say massive, painting of the wife of the home, the owners, husband and wife, the wife, naked on the bed, the same bed that we were standing next to. Like when you turn around and looked at the bed, you realized that painting was done right here because there's the bed. There she was, all of her. Nothing was covered. Fine art, I guess. He was
risque,
exactly.
Fine art.
We all just stood there for a second, and he was apparently really interested in fine art. I don't know. He'd been standing there for a bit.
Everybody should appreciate fine art. Yeah.
The wife really didn't appreciate that he was so interested in the fine art.
Shocking.
Yes. And and we completely forgot there was 2 children with us. And when the son chimed in, it was like, what is that?
Oh, no. And that's the thing people sometimes forget, right? That there may be children at these showings, and,
I guess. Yeah. I don't know how you didn't wake up that day knowing you have showings and that there's a full
mural.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of you and your wife. Wow.
So how did that showing end?
I did ask if they wanted to go and write it down. And then kind of slid in there. And should we ask for the full wall portrait?
Let me guess, they did not buy the house?
They did not. It actually went in multiple offers.
Wow.
I don't know what happened to that portrait. I don't know if it went with them or if it stayed.
Yeah, I would think it's such a waste if it had to stay on the wall, right?
Well, everything's negotiable, right?
Yeah, very true. Cut the wall out. I mean, the garage door was stolen. I can't see why the wall can't be cut out.
Correct.
Right? Well, in lines with that, has there been any other situations where maybe someone shouldn't have been home, but they were? And tell us more about that.
Rule number 101, and I always would teach new agents, is really knock on that door and ring the doorbell before you go in. Even though you have an appointment or it's supposed to be vacant, you always want to knock on that door, announce yourself. So I had a showing, and it was in the afternoon, and we knocked on the door. We rang the doorbell. Nobody answered. We went in. It was our appointment time. We were looking at the house, and as we went down the hallway, the doorway to the master bedroom was closed. And so I knocked on it like I always do before I go in a room, and didn't hear anything. And when I opened the door, we could hear water running. And as we walked into the primary suite, the door to the bathroom was open, and it was a glass enclosed shower, and there was a couple in there. That's all I have to say.
Completely lost track of time.
Yeah, and didn't hear us knocking apparently, and forgot that there was an appointment.
With other distractions.
Yeah, so when they realized that we were standing there, and we were just kind of standing there looking at them, it was an awkward moment. We turned around, left, shut the door, walked back out of the house, and we're out on the driveway regrouping. And he came running out and to apologize that he forgot there was an appointment, but he had just won the golf tournament at his country club. So he and his wife ran home to celebrate the victory, and they completely lost track of time.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't know that was a thing for golf. Like, I had no idea. And now when I watch those golf tournaments on TV, which my husband has on all the time, and when the guy wins, I'm always thinking that. Does he run home with his wife? Or how does this work? Is that a thing?
Were there children involved?
No, thank goodness.
What would you have done if there were?
that would not have been my conversation to have.
Very true.
I would have deferred to the parents.
You know, I almost think that a buyer should be signing a disclosure. You're entering this home on your own risk, right?
That is so true. But
yeah.
it was an event.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other stories that you want to share with us today about some of the things that you see during showings?
Oh, I've seen it all. During a showing, you never know when you open up the door what you're going to find. What's some funny ones I've seen? I've walked in. Well, it wasn't a showing. It was actually for an open house I was getting ready to hold for my clients. And the son came running out of the house, and he had 2 hot dogs in his hand on a bun, and he was eating them. And she was in the house yelling about something. I don't know what. She was trying to corral the kids and get them in the car to get out for the open house. So I was waiting outside so I could go in. He came running out. He must have been about 7 years old. And he looked at me, and he said, "I hate hot dogs." And I, of course, don't like them either. So I sided with him. I'm like, yeah, I don't like hot dogs either.
Oh, no.
So he proceeds to rifle the hot dogs into the bushes right in front of the front door. So there's like 2 buns hanging because then the hot dogs fell out. And then they're like halfway down through the bushes, there's a hot dog here. And they had mustard all over and there was yellow. She comes out.
And you're about to have an open house,
And I'm
right?
about to have an open house. And I'm kind of dressed nice because I'm going to have an open house. She comes running out with carrying the daughter, and she yells at him and says, "Did you finish your hot dogs?" And he said, "Yeah, they were great." And I didn't throw them under the bus. I just stood there.
Aww.
And so she piles them in the car and they leave. And the first person that shows up for the open house, I'm literally in the bushes picking out hot dogs. I have mustard everywhere.
The things we do for real estate.
Yeah, the things we do. But yeah, you never know when you're going to walk in a house or even outside the house what you're going to run into. But that's what makes it fun.
It's definitely fun.
Yeah.
Would you say you could work a 9-to-5 job, or would you do this all over again?
I would do this all over again. And I think the biggest reason is because you're dealing with people every day and everybody's so different, and you never know. You never know what your day is going to start out as and how it's going to end. And I like that part of it because I don't do well. I do well. You know that. I write my lists and I'm structured in that way. But I like a little spice and a little flair every once in a while. So that's what makes real estate so much fun.
Because you're spicy.
Oh, yeah, I'm spicy. Yeah, that's like my middle name, Spicy. Not.
Yeah. What do you like about different things in the day? You just said like every day is a little different. Every day has its own challenges, different people. What part of that really draws you?
Just, again, it's the people. I do enjoy the people. And you know, it's not always roses and happiness, and, you know, you have personalities, you just don't mesh. And that's when you have to be the professional and say, you know what, this is not working for either one of us. But overall, I love my clients, and I always tell them, I want to run into you somewhere, Wegmans, Home Depot, wherever we run into each other, and I want us to be happy to see each other. And I can say, after all these years, that's my goal that I've always strived for, and it does work that way. I love seeing my clients. I love running into them and hearing about their house and how happy they are. That's a good thing. I
couldn't agree more. Some of my closest friends were actually started the relationship as clients. And to your point, we just in a relationship business. And when we build this relationship, sometimes it goes beyond the closed and beyond the sold sign on a property. Yes, absolutely. So, Beth, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing some of your experiences. I look forward to having you with us again in the near future and hearing more of those stories. I know you have tons and tons of them. Today we talked about some funny ones, but there are some challenging ones that maybe we can, chat about next time. And thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.
Thanks for listening to Realtors Unfiltered, where real estate meets reality. If you're ready to buy, sell, or explore joining our team, visit us at inaslatifsalesteam.com. Until next time, keep it real.